Imagine a world where deceit becomes survival, where loyalty becomes a weapon, and where one man lived a lie so completely that he almost forgot who he was. This is the true story of the most dangerous and successful undercover assignment in FBI history. You may know the Hollywood version: Johnny Depp as Donnie Brasco, Al Pacino as Lefty Ruggiero, but the film only scratched the surface of what really happened. The real Joseph Pistone went deeper, further, and for longer than any law enforcement officer before him. 6 years undercover, hundreds of Mafia contacts, dozens of convictions, and a personal life shattered along the way. Health Wealth Diary presents the uncut, unpolished, and unforgettable real story from Donnie Brasco.
From 1975 to 1981, Mr. Pistone went undercover as an FBI agent and infiltrated the Mafia.
Joseph Dominic Pistone was born on September 17, 1939, in Erie, Pennsylvania, but he grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, a working-class Italian-American city with a strong Mafia presence woven into daily life. His parents weren't criminals, but the environment around him was full of wise guys, street bookies, neighborhood enforcers, and respected men of honor who hung around the local bars. Pistone grew up observing them from the outside. He watched how they talked, how they carried themselves, how they handled disputes, and how they manipulated everybody. These early observations planted the seeds for the undercover personality he would eventually become. He wasn't a tough guy, but he was sharp and good at reading people. Pistone learned how to navigate rough neighborhoods without being swallowed by them. In school, he was quiet and unnoticed, traits that later became weapons when he slipped into the identity of Donnie Brasco. After high school, Pistone attended college and eventually joined Naval Intelligence. That job refined his ability to blend in, extract information quietly, and think strategically, skills the FBI later recognized as invaluable. After a failed attempt as a school teacher, Pistone entered the FBI in 1969 and quickly distinguished himself as a natural undercover operator. He worked auto theft, burglary, and organized theft rings. These assignments placed him face-to-face with criminals who trusted only their own kind. Pistone learned how to mimic their behavior, dress like them, speak like them, laugh at their jokes, and sit in their bars without drawing suspicion. While the movie portrays Donnie Brasco as an agent stumbling into mob life somewhat unprepared, the real Pistone had spent years perfecting the art of deception. He learned how to identify diamonds, crack safes, pick locks, and speak the gritty language of street criminals. By the time the Mafia operation was conceived, Pistone wasn't just ready, he was the only man who could pull it off. The FBI needed an identity that Mafia associates would find believable, so Pistone constructed Donnie Brasco, a jewel thief from Miami with connections, skills, and a past vague enough to avoid contradiction. Donnie learned gemology so thoroughly that even expert jewelers accepted him as the real deal. He carried himself like a thief, blended into rundown bars, and slowly built a reputation among small-time crooks. One difference from reality in the movie is Johnny Depp's Donnie feels more improvisational. In actuality, Pistone crafted Donnie with surgical precision, preparing every detail from his childhood stories to his criminal skill set. The day that changed Pistone's life forever came in August 1976 inside a cluttered, smoky dive bar on Madison Street. This was where Donnie met Benjamin "Lefty Guns" Ruggiero, a feared hitman and persistent gambler in the Bonano crime family. He was introduced to Lefty by another Bonano family associate, Anthony Mira. When Mira got arrested the following year, Donnie was left to deal with Lefty personally. Lefty was the kind of gangster who could be charming one moment and deadly the next. His reputation was soaked in violence. He had committed over 25 confirmed murders and countless beatings. Lefty tested Donnie relentlessly, feeding him small tasks, asking about his past, watching his reactions, and measuring his loyalty. Donnie never wavered. Lefty gradually grew to trust him, bringing him deeper into Mafia circles. Pacino's Lefty is portrayed with a sad, fatherly loneliness. And while that emotional bond was real, the movie softens Lefty's ruthlessness. In real life, Lefty was far more intimidating. A man whose casual conversations often involved dissecting murders he'd committed. Once Donnie earned Lefty's approval, he was exposed to the day-to-day life of the Mafia. There were extortion collections, gambling bets, planning robberies, and endless meetings inside smoke-filled rooms. Donnie didn't just watch, he participated. He collected money for the family. He fenced stolen goods. He drove mobsters around. He ate with them, drank with them, and even argued with them. His real life slipped further away. His wife Maggie and 3 daughters rarely saw him. He was never home, always out, always Donnie. The movie shows glimpses of family tension, but the real stress was far worse. Maggie once said she felt like she was married to a ghost, a man who no longer existed because Donnie Brasco had replaced him. Donnie became part of Dominic's Sonny Black, Napolitano's crew, one of the most dangerous captains in the Bonano family. Sonny Black respected Donnie and trusted him deeply. This created a power struggle between Sonny Black and Lefty over who truly owned Donnie. In Mafia culture, introducing a valuable associate is symbolic. It brings prestige and financial reward. Donnie attended high-level Mafia meetings, witnessed alliances form and fall, and observed the internal cracks within the aging crime family. The Bonanos were on the verge of a civil war, and Donnie Brasco was in the middle of it. The film focuses mainly on Donnie and Lefty, but the real story involved a complex web of capos, underbosses, and factions who viewed Donnie as a useful and loyal criminal. What they did get right was the jealousy Lefty had for the attention Sonny Black was giving Donnie. In reality, Donnie had a good, if not better, relationship with Sonny than he did with Lefty. As the Bonano family fractured, Donnie was pulled deeper into the center of the chaos. He witnessed the fallout from Carmine Galanti's assassination, the rise of new captains, and the endless paranoia over who was loyal and who wasn't. When Donnie worked under Sonny Black, he wasn't just stepping into the orbit of a powerful mob captain. He was entering a family within a family. Sonny Black's crew was tight, disciplined, and dangerous. A collection of hardened street men who lived by a strict code and trusted very few people. In real life, the men around Sonny Black formed the backbone of Donnie's infiltration. But in the movie, only fragments of these men are shown, pieces of their personalities scattered across fictionalized characters. The real crew was far more complex, far more volatile, and ultimately, far more tragic. One of the most important members was Nicholas "Nicky" Santora, a key soldier and later a captain in his own right. Nicky was smart, calm, and business-focused, a contrast to Lefty's volatility. Nicky handled gambling, loan sharking, and union rackets, and he was trusted deeply by Sonny Black. In the movie, Nicky Santora's persona is loosely represented in the character Nicky, played by Bruno Kirby, but the film simplifies him into a somewhat comedic, hot-headed figure. The real Nicky Santora was shrewder, more patient, and often the voice of reason behind closed doors. He also lived longer than most of the crew, continuing to climb the ranks, eventually becoming underboss of the Bonano family. The character Paulie, played by James Russo, was based on real-life Bonano enforcer John "Booby" Chersani. Chersani was part of Sonny Black's crew, a guy who wasn't afraid to mix it up, a man who could get rough during shakedowns or collections. He wasn't a captain, he wasn't a key earner, but he was loyal muscle, the kind of street guy every Mafia crew needs to enforce discipline and resolve problems the old-fashioned way. Chersani could be funny and relaxed one moment, then snap into hostility the next. He was loyal and dangerous in equal measure, a man Donnie respected but also stayed extremely alert around. Russo's performance mirrors this energy perfectly. The street guy who might throw a punch before he finishes the conversation. Donnie was responsible for a lucrative business venture in Holiday, Florida, when he opened and operated the King's Court Bottle Club. In Florida, Donnie worked with another FBI agent working undercover as Tony Rossi. The character in the film, Richie Gazzo, played by Rocco Sisto, mirrors Tony Rossi to a T. They both were instrumental in gathering intel against the Bonano family in New York and the Trafficante family in Florida. Pacino's role as Lefty is shockingly accurate, emotionally and psychologically. What he brings to the screen is the essence of the real Lefty, a tragic, loyal, stubborn, old-school gangster whose blind devotion to the Mafia became his downfall. The real Lefty was exactly like this. He dressed cheaply. He smoked non-stop. He talked endlessly about mob life. He complained about being underpaid and overlooked. He was a man who believed he deserved more, but never got it. Pistone would later state that Pacino got Lefty better than Lefty got Lefty. The most prominent figure in Sonny Black's circle was Sonny Black himself. In the film, Michael Madsen captures Sonny's coldness, but Hollywood makes him more polished and cinematic. The movie's version is more of a quiet consigliere-type character, while the real Sonny was a street-tough captain who played for keeps. Nonetheless, the late great Michael Madsen killed it. His performance might have been outshined by Al Pacino's Lefty, yet he still showed up and gave us a cool, laid-back version of Sonny Black. The most dangerous moment of the operation came when Sonny Black decided to officially propose Donnie Brasco to become a made man. This was unthinkable. An undercover agent so trusted that he was on the verge of being inducted into one of the 5 families. The FBI panicked. A made man is expected to commit murder. If Donnie accepted the offer, he would be ordered to kill someone to complete his initiation. And even if he avoided that, the backlash when the truth came out would unleash a wave of murders inside the Mafia. The Bureau had no choice. They ordered him out. The final decision to pull Pistone out came after a single phone call from his superiors. There was no countdown, no goodbye, no closure. He simply vanished. Days later, the FBI knocked on Sonny Black's door and handed him a stack of photographs. Pictures of Donnie Brasco standing with federal agents. Pictures of Donnie's real identity. It wasn't just a revelation. It was a death sentence. In Mafia culture, getting fooled is an insult. Getting fooled for 6 years is unforgivable. Someone had to pay. Sonny Black was the first target. He was the one who vouched for Donnie, pushed him upward, promised him a future in the family. On July 12, 1981, Sonny Black was summoned to a meeting in Staten Island, the kind of meeting every mobster fears. He knew what it meant. He took off his jewelry, handed them to a bartender at the Motion Lounge, and walked into what he understood was his final moment. His body would later be found mutilated and buried in a makeshift grave. Sonny Black called his girlfriend Judy before the meeting. Judy would later contact Pistone and tell him that Sonny was never mad at him and that he loved him. That message would haunt Joe Pistone for the rest of his life. Lefty Ruggiero's fate was sealed the following week. He was also called in. He knew exactly why. He dressed carefully, put on his best suit, and left his apartment quietly. But fate intervened. Before Lefty could be murdered, the FBI intercepted him, pinning him against a wall and dragging him into custody, saving his life by minutes. The arresting agents would later recall Lefty muttering, "If it wasn't for him, I'd be dead," referring to Donnie. The following year, Anthony Mira, the man who first vouched for Donnie, was also found murdered. Lefty survived, but would end up serving some jail time, courtesy of his old pal Donnie. On November 1982, Pistone testified against Lefty, and other Bonano family associates. Lefty was convicted of conspiracy racketeering and sentenced to 15 years in prison. Lefty refused to believe that Donnie was a Fed and not his friend. Lefty told his attorney, "He'll never go against us." However, after Pistone testified against Lefty, he later said, "I'll get that Donnie if it's the last thing I do." Maybe Donnie did put away Lefty, but he also saved his life. Regardless, Lefty's Mafia career was over. In April 1993, suffering from lung cancer, he was released from prison after serving 11 years. Benjamin "Lefty Guns" Ruggiero died on November 24, 1994. He never spoke to Donnie again. After the operation ended, Pistone was forced into a semi-permanent undercover existence. The Mafia placed a $500,000 bounty on his head. He changed residences constantly, lived under assumed identities, and stayed alert for years. The marriage was strained permanently. His mental state never went back to normal. But the operation was undeniably successful. Over 200 indictments, 100 convictions, and a devastating blow to the Bonano family. When Donnie Brasco premiered in 1997, it arrived at a moment when organized crime films were evolving. Donnie Brasco wasn't marketed as a blockbuster. Its success came quietly, building through word of mouth. The film grossed over $120 million worldwide, far above studio expectations. Critics praised it across the board, and the film earned multiple award nominations. Over time, it grew into a cult classic, studied by law enforcement agencies, criminology classes, and filmmakers who admired its restraint and realism. The Donnie Brasco operation changed the FBI forever. It redefined undercover work, exposed the vulnerabilities of the Mafia, and proved that even the most secretive criminal organizations could be infiltrated. But for Joseph Pistone, the legacy is bittersweet. He gave up years with his family. He lived with guilt over the men who died because they trusted him. He carried psychological scars no medal or movie could erase. Donnie Brasco is more than a story about infiltrating the Mafia. It is a story about friendship, betrayal, courage, and the painful cost of living between two worlds. The world remembers Joe Pistone as a hero, but it must also remember the men whose lives were forever changed by his presence, and the thin line between survival and tragedy that defines the life of every undercover agent. Thanks for watching. Food for thought. If you were in Donnie Brasco's shoes, living a double life inside the Mafia for years, would you have been able to survive without losing yourself? Or would the guilt and danger have destroyed you? Also, what was your favorite scene from the Donnie Brasco movie? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications for more awesome new videos from the Health Wealth Diary.